नहमदुहु व नुसल्ली अला रसूलिहिल करीम अम्मा बअद फ़अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला मुहम्मदिन व अला आलि मुहम्मदिन कमा सल्लैता अला इब्राहीम व अला आलि इब्राहीम इन्नका हमीदुम मजीद अल्लाहुम्मा बारिक अला मुहम्मदिन व अला आलि मुहम्मदिन कमा बारकता अला इब्राहीम व अला आलि इब्राहीम इन्नका हमीदुम मजीद व अन अमीरिल मोमिनीन अबी हफ्स उमर इब्नुल ख़त्ताब रज़ियल्लाहु अन्हु क़ाल समिअतु रसूलल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम यक़ूल इन्नमल अमालु बिन्निय्यात व इन्नमा लिकुल्लि इम्रिइन मा नवा फमन कानत हिजरतुहु इलल्लाहि व रसूलिहि फहिजरतुहु इलल्लाहि व रसूलिहि वमन कानत हिजरतुहु लिदुनिया युसीबुहा व इम्रातिन यनकिहुहा फहिजरतुहु इला मा हाजरा इलैहि मुत्तफ़क़ुन अलैहि। That is, this hadith has been reported by both Imam Bukhari and Imam Muslim rahimahumullah. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Allahumma rabbana alhimna rushdana wa a'izna min shururi anfusina. Allahumma arina al-haqqa haqqan warzuqna ittiba'ah wa arina al-batila batilan warzuqna ijtinabah. Ameen ya rabbal alameen. With the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we begin our study of Arbaeen-e, that is the collection of 40 ahadith. Although actually this collection contains 42 ahadith, but the title of the book is Al-Arbaeen-e. This collection was compiled by Imam An-Nawawi rahimahullah in the 13th century of the Christian era and 7th century Hijrah. And the background of this collection is that there is a hadith, although it is accepted to be za'if, weak as regards the riwayah, but so many Sahaba have communicated this hadith that it has been accepted universally, these ahadith. This hadith says, Man hafiza ala ummati arba'ina hadithan, whosoever remembers for my ummah, that is, remembers, memorizes, and then conveys to my ummah 40 of my ahadith, he will be counted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala amongst ulama and fuqaha. As regards the authenticity of this hadith, it is not very powerful, but as regards the acceptability of this hadith, that is nearly universal. So actually, this hadith became an incentive for many ulama to compile their own collections of 40 ahadith. And these are called Al-Arbaeen. And there are so many Al-Arbaeen. Many of them have compiled them. This is Al-Arbaeen lin-Nawawi, Imam Sharfuddin al-Nawawi. And this has been universally accepted, and this has become most important and most famous, although there are so many other Arbaeen edited by other ulama. But this is universally accepted. Imam Nawawi died in the year 676. That is, he belongs to the 7th century of Hijrah and the 13th century of Christian era. He compiled this collection of ahadith, which contains 42 ahadith of the Prophet ﷺ. Most of the other people, the first one who compiled the 40 ahadith was Abdullah ibn Mubarak rahimahullah. He is from Tabi'een, that is the third generation after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The first generation, that is Sahaba, who saw and who were companions of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then the second generation, Tabi'een, who didn't see and meet the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but they had the fortune, they were fortunate enough to have the company of the companions of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They are called Tabi'een. And then Tab'a Tabi'een, people who could be fortunate enough to have the company of the Tabi'een. So Abdullah ibn Mubarak, rahimahullah, he belongs to this third generation. And about these three generations, the Prophet has said that these generations are most fortunate. They are the best of the Ummah. As-Sahaba, awwalan, first of all, Sahaba, then Tabi'een, and then the Tab'i Tabi'een. So Abdullah ibn Mubarak, rahimahullah, he belongs to that third generation of Tab'i Tabi'een, and he compiled the first collection of 40 ahadith. So this, and then so many ulama, they have compiled their own collections. But everyone has his own angle of view, point of view for collection and choosing. Somebody has collected ahadith regarding Iman only. Somebody has collected ahadith regarding the best and virtuous acts in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Someone has compiled 40 ahadith regarding most important issues of fiqh that should be known to every Muslim. But this compilation, this collection of 40 or 42 ahadith by Imam Nawawi rahimahullah, he died in the year 676, as I told you. So he chose the ahadith from different branches of knowledge which are most fundamental. Fundamental regarding the basic principles of Islam. Fundamentals regarding Iman, what are the articles of faith. Then the fundamentals regarding the inner sophistication, inner purification of the soul, which is usually termed as tasawwuf. This is a new term. It was not there in the days of the Prophet, nor in the days of Sahaba, nor in the Tabi'een and Tabi' Tabi'een. Later on, this term was introduced in our realm. But I am using that term to make it easy for you to understand that some ahadith here are, which basically are concerned with the inner purification of the heart or the soul. So he has taken some ahadith from this aspect, some ahadith from that aspect, some ahadith from that aspect. And that is why it is the most accepted collection of 40 ahadith. Al-Arbaeen-e Nawawi, Imam Sharfuddin al-Nawawi, rahimahullah. Now this hadith, this first hadith, which is included in this collection, and that is the most important hadith regarding the fact that most of the muhaddithin, whether he is Imam Bukhari or Imam Muslim or someone else, they started their collections of ahadith with this hadith. So to say, this is like Surah Al-Fatiha, because most of the people who have compiled collections of ahadith of the Prophet ﷺ, they begin with this one, because it discusses the intention, purity of intention, which is the first condition of the acceptability of any good deed, any virtuous deed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is not going to accept any deed, howsoever virtuous it appears, howsoever grand it appears, but if there is not sincerity behind it, if there is some pollution in the intentions, then that act of piety is not acceptable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this al-ikhlas fi niyyah. So every muhaddis, some water. Every muhaddis, nearly every muhaddis who has compiled his collections of ahadith, whether Sahih or Musnad or someone else, they bring this hadith as number one. In the same way, Although the most profound hadith of the Prophet ﷺ is hadith number 2, most profound. But the practice of the muhaddithin has been that they begin their collection with this hadith. It discusses the purity of intention. A deed, an act of piety, howsoever grand it might appear, if it is not motivated only by the urge to get the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to get the reward in the hereafter, if there is attached some worldly motivation, something that you want as a reward in this world, howsoever virtuous that act might appear, but it will be, so to say, multiplied by 0 in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is the basic issue discussed in this hadith. An Amir al-Mu'mineen Abi Hafs Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu an. The narrator of this hadith is Hazrat Umar radiyallahu ta'ala an. Abi Hafs is his kunniyah. Khattab was the father. An Amir al-Mu'mineen, and this is the word we use for Khulafai Rashidin. He is the second pious caliph of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. An Amir al-Mu'mineen Abi Hafs Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول. He says, or he said, that I myself heard the Apostle of Allah saying. Now the ahadith, they can begin with the only word of an. It has been reported from him, not saying that the person from whom it is being reported has heard it directly from the Prophet ﷺ. There is a possibility that another sahabi, another companion of the Prophet ﷺ might have heard it from the Prophet himself. And then some other sahabi or companion of the Prophet might have heard that from that companion. But sami'tu, that is, it adds emphasis. Sami'tu Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I myself heard the Prophet, the Apostle of Allah, saying. Now this is the text of the hadith. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. The virtuous acts will be judged according to the intentions behind them. Although this word amal, usually it is used for virtuous acts also and for bad deeds also. But mostly this word is used for virtuous acts, acts of piety. This is the basic difference between fi'l and amal. Fi'l, any deed, any action is fi'l, whether it is bad or good, whether it entails hard labor or it is easy. But the word amal in Arabic, that is primarily used for something which requires hard effort, which is not very acceptable to the id or libido of human beings. A man has to exert to commit that act. That is amal. And mostly it is used for virtuous acts. Because our id or libido, our baser self, its requirements, its desires, they are so inherent in our body that these acts we perform without any labor. We don't have to compel ourselves or force ourselves to do it, because all the motivation is already within us. No additional effort is required. But for some virtuous act, you have to exert yourself. Amal, something which entails effort and exertion. So the virtuous acts definitely need exertion on the part of the person and to undergo some hardship. Innamal a'mal. So that is why I have translated it. Verily, the virtuous acts, the acts of piety, bil a'mal. Innamal a'mal bin niyyat. Niyyat is the plural of niyyah. This is commonly used in Urdu also. We pronounce it as niyyat. but this is niyyah in Arabic, and the plural is niyyat. Innamal a'malu bin niyyat. All the good deeds, the virtuous acts, will be judged by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the basis of the intentions. What was the intention? Somebody is doing some very pious act, but he is only performing that act to show off his piety. According to another hadith of the Prophet, this is shirk. Man salla yurai faqad ashraka. Wa man tasaddaqa yurai faqad ashraka. Wa man sama yurai faqad ashraka. Whosoever prays to show off his piety, to show to the people, he is committing shirk. Whosoever is fasting, but he only wants to show it off, he is committing a shirk. The worst crime in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, this ayah appears twice in Quran. Inna Allah la yaghfiru an yushraka bih wa yaghfiru ma duna dhalika liman yasha. Allah is not going to forgive that shirk may be committed with him. Something or someone is associated with him, is accepted to be equal to him. This is not going to be forgiven by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All the other sins, maybe that Allah may forgive them. Not that there is an open license that all the other sins will be definitely forgiven, no. But it can be hoped that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala might forgive it, but not shirk. And here the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for riya, to show off your piety, he has termed it shirk. Faqad ashraka. And qad ashraka in Arabic means definitely, there's no doubt about it. It has happened. It's the present perfect tense. He has committed this. I have done this. The present perfect tense in English. Qad ashraka. He has already committed shirk. So, man salla yurai faqad ashraka, wa man sama yurai faqad ashraka, wa man tasaddaqa yurai faqad ashraka. Whosoever prays is praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but to show off to the people, he has committed shirk. Whosoever keeps the fasting, the psalm, he is fasting, but he wants to show it off to the people, that he is a very pious person. He keeps so many additional fasts, a psalm nafl. So if he is doing it to show off, he is committing shirk. And if he is giving charity, man tasaddaqa yurai, but to show it to the people, he is committing shirk. So innamal a'malu bin niyyat. All the good deeds are going to be judged by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All the virtuous acts will be judged by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the basis of the intentions. Bin niyyat. Wa innama likulli imri'in ma nawa. Now this sentence is only for adding emphasis to it. Innamal a'malu bin niyyat, it's complete. But then, wa innama likulli imri'in ma nawa. Every person will get only what he had intended. The act might be very virtuous, but he intended only to please people, to get some worldly reward, to get some praise from the people, that he is a very virtuous person. He is a very virtuous person. He commits good deeds, nawafil, and so on. But he will not get anything out of it except what he had intended. That is, if he intended that he should be known as a pious person, he will be known in this world as a pious person. People will take him to be a pious person. But you know, in the hereafter, there will be nothing for him. There is another hadith and that is, very alarming, very alarming, very alarming. That on the day of the judgment, first of all, 3 persons will be judged. Number 1, who had fought in the world in his life for the cause of Allah, and people were thinking that he is shaheed. The other one, who had lot of wealth, and he was distributed in alms and charity, he was giving it to the people. And the third one, You know, I forget the third one. Dr. Sami might be remembering. Was someone who is very knowledgeable. And you know, knowledge is the biggest virtue in the eyes of Islam or Iman or Quran. إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاءِ. That is the biggest virtue. But if he wants only to impress upon people that he is a very, very knowledgeable person, he is Allama, if this is the real intention, then what will happen? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked the person who fought for the cause of Allah, no doubt. He was, for example, among the Sahaba and the Prophet himself in some battle. But you know, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will let him know, I gave you good strength, healthy body, and so on, what did you do for me? He will say very happily, oh Allah, I fought for your cause, to make your kalama supreme. لِتَكُونَ كَلِمَةُ اللَّهِ الْعُلْيَا. I fought along with your Prophet. But Allah will say, no, قَدْ كَذَبْتَ. You are telling a lie. You fought so that people should say, he is a very brave person, to show off your bravery. That was the real intention behind your act. And that you got in the world. People praised you, that he is very brave. Your reward has already been given to you. You have already received the reward. There is nothing here for you. And then the angels will be ordered, and he will drag him on his face, ala wajhihi, and throw him into the fire of hell. The same will be the case with the big alim, and also with the wealthy person who spent lot of money in charity. But you know, the intentions were not pure. They wanted that they should become famous. His fingers should point towards him. Oh, he is a very big alim. He is a very charitable person. So these things will make their act zero on the day of judgment. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَّا نَوَىٰ. Now a very beautiful example has been given here by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. فَمَنْ كَانَتْ هِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ فَهِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. Whosoever migrated from Mecca to Medina solely to please Allah, to obey the command of his apostle Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There was no additional, no other motive behind it. Solely, wholly to please Allah, to obey the command of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So his hijrah, his migration, will be counted in this account, in the same account. فَهِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. It will be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as the true hijrah, which he has performed for Allah and his messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. وَمَنْ كَانَتْ هِجْرَتُهُ لِلدُّنْيَا يُصِيبُهَا. But whosoever has migrated to get some worldly reward. Now the best example could be that supposing there was a mu'min, a Muslim, shopkeeper in Mecca. And you know, most of his customers, because it was a 13 years long history. Definitely the kuffar and mushrikeen might have stopped buying from him, and the only customers left for him were the Muslims. They came to buy or purchase something from him. And now when he saw that most of the Muslims have migrated, now he also is migrating. Now this migration is not pure in intentions. He is migrating for something which is worldly, this worldly. وَمَنْ كَانَتْ هِجْرَتُهُ لِلدُّنْيَا يُصِيبُهَا. Some worldly reward, if that is what is intended really in the hearts of his heart, he is making this migration and hijrah only because All his customers have gone. And now, for his bread and butter, he is compelled to migrate. وَمَنْ كَانَتْ هِجْرَتُهُ لِلدُّنْيَا يُصِيبُهَا أَوْ امْرَأَةٍ يَنْكِحُهَا. Or if he is migrating solely because a woman, a Muslim, Mu'min woman, whom he wanted to marry has migrated. Now there is no choice left for him except to migrate. If he wants to marry her, he has also to leave Makkah and go to Medina. And it is said that there was a person who was known among the people as Muhajiro Qais. Qais was a woman. She migrated, and somebody who loved her, wanted to marry her, he also migrated. So, أَوْ إِمْرَأَةٍ يَنْكِحُهَا فَهِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى مَا هَاجَرَ إِلَيْهِ. So now the hijrah, the migration, and this hijrah is one of the 3 acts which have been enumerated by Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that they can become kaffara for all the sins which a person might have committed before that act. These are 3. Number 1, if a person becomes Muslim, he was a kafir, no sooner than he crosses the line, he becomes a mu'min. Now all the bad deeds, all the crimes, all the sins which he committed before becoming a mu'min and Muslim, they are pardoned. In the same way, the second one is hijrah. A person is leaving his place of birth, the place of his ancestors, where his ancestors are buried. And he definitely loves that place. He has friends, he has relations, relatives are there. And when the Prophet said, now migrate to Medina, the first migration that was made towards Habasha, Ethiopia of today, that was voluntary. Whosoever wants to go, whosoever cannot stand the persecution that is going on in Makkah, if he wants, he can migrate. That was optional. That was not compulsory. But this second migration to Medina was compulsory, even to the extent that it was declared, whosoever doesn't migrate, O Muslims, you have no relation with him now. مَا لَكُمْ مِنْ وَلَايَتِهِمْ مِنْ شَيْءٍ حَتَّى يُهَاجِرُوا. Unless they migrate. Because this migration was actually to start the initiative, the offensive against the kuffar. And to begin with that offensive or initiative against kuffar of Makkah, it was absolutely necessary that all the force which is available must gather at one place. If the force is scattered, some Muslims are here, some are there, some are in that tribe, some are in that tribe, and so on, this scattered force couldn't take that head-on collision with the Quraysh of Makkah. There should be that all the strength which is available, all the people who have accepted Iman up till this date, they must come to one place. So that place becomes the base for the offensive that is to be now undertaken against Kufr. And the Aimmat al-Kufr, they were Quraysh. فَقَاتِلُوا أَيِمَّةَ الْكُفْرِ. And to go to war against this Aimmatul Kufr, all the available human force should gather first at one base. So it was compulsory. مَنْ كَانَتْ هِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ فَهِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ وَمَنْ كَانَتْ هِجْرَتُهُ لِلدُّنْيَا يُصِيبُهَا أَوْ امْرَأَةٍ يَنْكِحُهَا فَهِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى مَا هَاجَرَ إِلَيْهِ. Allah has nothing to do with it. That is, he will get no reward on this, which is one of the 3 highest acts in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I was telling you, first is coming over to Islam from kufr. The second is hijrah. And the third is al-hajjul mabrur. But mabrur is the condition. That hajj which is free from all pollution. The intensity The intention should be pure. The money with which you are performing that Hajj should have been earned from halal, not haram. And then all the basic conditions that are prescribed there, they should be done in the best of the way. Al-Hajjul Mabrur. So these are the three acts of piety, you may call them, three virtuous acts, which cancel all the previous bad deeds or sins, and the man becomes as if he is born now, today. The second birth, as you know in Christian world, rebirth in Jesus. So in that way it is rebirth in Islam, because now all the previous acts and sins, they stand nullified. But this also needs the purity of intention. So this hadith has been narrated by Imam Bukhari and Imam Muslim both. And a hadith about whose authenticity these two biggest muhaddiseen, they agree. It becomes the highest level of the authenticity of hadith. It comes very near to Quran, very near. Quran is also a hadith. فَبِأَيِّ حَدِيثٍ بَعْدُهُ. You read it in Quran. Actually, Quran is hadith. Hadithullah is Quran. And what we call hadith is Hadithul Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, the chain of narration, only one link is more. That Quran has been narrated, conveyed to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam by the Archangel Jibreel. And then it has been, communicated from Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to the Sahaba rizwanullahi ta'ala alayhi ajma'in, and from the Sahaba to the Tabi'in, and from the Tabi'in to the Tabi'in, so on, generation after generation. So this hadith of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, about whose authenticity both Imam Muslim and Imam Bukhari agree, this is the highest level of the authenticity of any hadith, which comes very near to the Quran. Now you have only this first hadith, the text of this hadith is with you. So let me give you at least the introduction to the second hadith. The second hadith included in this compilation or collection of ahadith by Imam Sharafuddin al-Nawawi rahimahullah. This is the most profound hadith of all the ahadith. So much so that the scholars, the muhaddiseen, they have given it the title Ummus Sunnah. Just as Surah Al-Fatiha, this is Ummul Quran. The mother, or the basis, the root. This word, means all such things. So Ummul Quran, Surah Al-Fatiha. Ummus Sunnah, this hadith, which is commonly known as Hadith of Jibreel alayhi salatu wassalam. And this is narrated by many Sahaba, because as we will see later, this happened in a gathering. So many Sahaba were present, and in the presence of so many Sahaba and the Prophet himself, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this event happened. So many Sahaba have narrated it. For example, Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu, his son Abdullah ibn Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma, Ibn Abbas radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma, Abu Huraira radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, so many Sahaba have narrated it. And it discusses with some very fundamental issues of a time when Islam becomes a polity, when Islam has become the basis of a society, when an Islamic state has been established. The fundamental things before Islam has been established in the form of a state, They would be pertaining to Iman and Jihad. They are the two most fundamental subjects discussed. But when Islam has given birth to a society, it has taken the shape of a state. There is an ummah. Now people are becoming Muslims because they were born of Muslim parents. To begin with, there were the people who had to leave their own faiths, own beliefs, leave their families, clans. They had to undergo so much sacrifice to accept Islam. But later on, when the parents are Muslim, the offsprings, they are Muslims. Generation after generation, they are Muslims. Now what are the fundamental issues that must be understood? About these ahadith and about these issues, Imam Abu Hanifa has been said to compile the only book, Al-Fiqh al-Akbar. He has not compiled any book. Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, he only trained his disciples. And the disciples then wrote books. He himself was not an author. We may say he was author of men, not author of books. The only book that is attributed to him is Al-Fiqh al-Akbar, and that discusses with these fundamental principles. What is Iman? What is Islam? What is Ihsan? The three basic, most fundamental questions, they were put to the Prophet ﷺ, and he answered them. Because Islam is the basis of the membership of Muslim society. Whosoever is a Muslim, we accept him as a Muslim in our society. This is the basis of citizenship, full citizenship in an Islamic state. Whosoever is a Muslim, he will be accepted as a full citizen of the Islamic state. Today we only reserve this place for the heads of the states. In most of the Muslim countries, you will find in the constitutions that only a Muslim can be the head of the state, the president or the prime minister. But actually in an Islamic state, the legislature cannot have any non-Muslim person in it, because the basis and the source of legislation is Quran and Sunnah. So only those who believe in Quran and Sunnah, they can be accepted in the legislature. They are entitled to make ijtihad, not those people who don't believe in Allah or don't believe in Quran and don't believe in Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Sunnah. So these are very fundamental questions, very fundamental. For us today, they are only theoretical importance, nothing more. Because we are living in alien societies comprising of non-Muslim majority. And even in the countries where we Muslims are in majority, we have the same secular systems. The only thing that you have put in the constitution of most of the Muslim countries is that the head of the state will be a Muslim. Now it becomes a very big fundamental legal question. Who is a Muslim? And who is not a Muslim? So what is Iman? What is Islam? And what is the height of the purity or an intensity of Iman? So these fundamental questions are solved by Muhammad himself sallallahu alaihi wasallam in this hadith, Sunnah, Hadith of Jibreel. And this was an incident that happened, and it was very, so to say, unusual incident. But because so many Sahaba were present in the mosque, along with Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so many people saw this event happening. So everyone, he narrated that event. But please note here a very fundamental point. The narrations given by different Sahaba, there is difference in wordings, not in the essence. Not only in wordings, even the sequence of questions is different. For example, the hadith, the narration of this hadith, which Imam Bukhari has accepted, is from Hazrat Abu Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala an. And in that the sequence of questions was, First of all, what is Iman? The second question was, what is Islam? And then the rest of the two questions. And you know the level of the hadith which is accepted by both Imam Bukhari and Imam Muslim. This is again accepted by Imam Muslim only, also. So that is higher. This hadith is higher regarding the authenticity. But the most accepted hadith, most famous narration of this hadith is from Hazrat Umar radiyallahu ta'ala. And here we find a different sequence of questions. So not only minor differences in wordings, also even the sequence of the questions is different in different ahadith. And that is what we mean to say when we say that Quran is verbal revelation. Even the words are from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is why we use the word revelation, not inspiration. Verbal revelation. Hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because although 5 of you who are listening to me, all of you are present here, you are listening it right from your horse's mouth, you may say. But if you are asked to repeat what you heard, your wordings will be different. It's very usual, very natural, very normal phenomenon. All of you, 5 might, agree on the essence. But the wording in which you will convey will differ. So hadith is also, although it is called al-wahyul khafi, this is also a revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Muhammad doesn't say it from himself. But all the words used, they are not from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we have fortunately 2 words in English language: revelation and inspiration. A revelation is verbal, although the Christian world says that the revelation also can be only an inspiration. They don't believe in verbal revelation and they are forced to do it. Why? Because they have 4 gospels and they differ from each other. So they say, I asked a learned man of Christian faith when I was still a college student. We have this Gospel of the Lord according to St. Matthew, Luke, John, and so on. Which one of them is the Bible? His answer, it was very intelligent indeed. None of them is Bible. Bible is in them. Bible is in them, but none of them is Bible. That is why they call it Gospel according to St. Matthew, Gospel of the Lord according to St. Luke, Gospel of the Lord according to St. Mark, Gospel of the Lord according to St. John. So in the same way, this is the level of hadith in Islam. Quran is verbal revelation. And there's a very important incident that took place in the life of Allama-Iqbal. Once he was there in a gathering where the principal of former Christian college, FC College, Lahore, Dr. Ewing, was also present. And he remarked, Allama-Iqbal, I have heard that you also believe in verbal revelation. A person learned as you are, a philosopher of your stature, you believe in verbal revelation. That the revelation which came to Muhammad was worded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself. He said, yes, I have a personal experience. The poetry that comes to me is already worded. Even if I like to change the word, I can't change the word. So this humble thing, this is also, already worded before coming to my mind. So I have this personal experience. I believe in the verbal revelation of Quran. But because they don't have any record, authentic record of Bible, the gospel of the Lord. So they say no, verbal revelation is not possible. But this thing is definitely the case with hadith. Words might have changed. Sequence can be changed. But the essence of the hadith is protected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we should understand that this is the primary difference between Quran and hadith. In Quran, every word is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is kalamullah. So it is the revelation. But hadith is not preserved as Quran has been preserved. But you know, wordings of hadith are not sure. There can be difference. So this is very clear when we read the texts of this hadith, Sunnah, Hadith of Jibreel, as narrated by Umar, as narrated by Abdullah ibn Umar, as narrated by Abu Huraira, as narrated by someone else, Ibn Abbas. There are differences in words, but the essence is the same. No difference whatsoever. Even the sequence of questions is also different. The first question in this hadith we should see, it is about Islam. And the second question about Iman. And in the hadith narrated by Abu Huraira radiyallahu anhu and accepted by Imam Bukhari, in the sequence in that is first question about Iman and the second about Islam. Now how this incident or event happened. The Sahaba Kiram, Rizwanullah Ta'ala alayhim ajma'in, were with the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in the mosque. And I think it must be the Salatul Fajr. Because after Fajr, it was the usual practice of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to sit there in the mosque for some time. And people used to ask questions. And even Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to ask something from the people. Kaifa asbahta? So, how have you got this morning of today, for example? Secondly, has any one of you seen any dream? And the Sahaba used to narrate to him the dreams that they have seen, so on. So to say, there used to be a small gathering, a meeting of the teacher and the disciples for some time. So when they were sitting like this, suddenly a man appeared, as we say it in English, bolt from the blue. And the wordings used here by Umar, this hadith which has been chosen by Imam Nawawi, it is not muttafaqun alayh. It has been accepted only by Imam Muslim. And this is from Hazrat Umar radiyallahu ta'ala. Why this choice? Why not the one that is more authentic, accepted by both Imam Bukhari and Imam Muslim? Why Imam Nawawi is accepting definitely a lower hadith regarding the authenticity? There must be some reason. And the reason is, this is also a fundamental point that we must understand. That there was, as we know, there was classification among the Sahaba. These are Ashabul Badr, people who were present in the Battle of Badr. These are Ashabul Bayat-e-Rizwan. They are the people who were there, who pledged themselves at the hand of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam at the event of the Treaty of Hudaybiyah and so on. There was gradation. These 10 are Al-Asharatul Mubashshara. They are the 10 for whom Jannah has been guaranteed and foretold by Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that you need not fear, you'll go straight to Jannah. Al-Asharatul Mubashshara. In the same way, there was a division, not so definite division as among these people, this gradation, but a commonly known division among the Sahaba. Some were called Al-Fuqaha, Fuqaha-ul-Sahaba, people who have deeper understanding. And Al-Fuqara, people who are more at a higher level of piety. Fuqara-ul-Sahaba and Fuqaha-ul-Sahaba. Among the Fuqaha, Hazrat Umar, Hazrat Ali, Hazrat Aisha, and so on, Rizwanullah Ta'ala alayhim ajma'in. Among the Fuqara, Abu Darda, Abu Zar, Abu Huraira, and so on. They were al-fuqara min as-sahaba. Al-fuqaha min as-sahaba, Umar, Ali, Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. So this hadith, although it is at a lower level regarding the authenticity, but it is at a higher level regarding the narrator. Who is narrating it? He is from among the fuqaha sahaba. And Abu Huraira is from fuqara sahaba. And fuqaha, the understanding, the depth of their understanding has been accepted by the whole ummah to be more than those people who had their primary concern about piety. As we know, Hazrat Abu Dharr radiyallahu anhu, one of the most pious companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so much so that the Prophet has said, Man kana yasurruhu an yanzura ila zuhd Isa falyanzur ila sahibi Abi Dharr. Whosoever wants to see the piety of Jesus alayhi salatu wassalam, he wants to see with his own eyes how pious was Isa ibn Maryam alayhi salam. He should come and see this companion of mine, Abu Dharr. He was so pious, so virtuous a person. But when he said, "Oh, Ya Rasulullah, O Prophet of Allah, O Apostle of Allah, make me also some governor at some place. You are sending people. You have sent Mu'adh ibn Jabal to Yemen as Amil, as governor." The reply was, Ya Aba Dharr, anta za'ifun. You are a weak person. You know, because we shall discuss these things later also. But the reason why Imam Nawawi has selected the narration of this hadith from Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu instead of the narration given by Abu Huraira radiyallahu ta'ala anhu is that Umar is from among the fuqaha of Sahaba rizwanullahi ta'ala alayhim ajma'in. بينما نحن جلوس عند رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, Hazrat Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu says, it happened once when we were sitting with the Apostle of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, zata yawmin, one day, istala alayna, when suddenly appeared to us, tala, we use this word for the sun, talat is shams, it comes up. So in the same way, a person appeared to us. And now, how much, they were wondering who he is, who has appeared suddenly. Rajulun shadidu bayadis siyab, shadidu sawadis shar. His clothes were extremely white, no dirt, no dot of any thing on his dress, absolutely white. And his hair was absolutely black, jet black. La yura alayhi asarus safar. No effects of journeying were visible on him. If somebody has made a journey and he has come straight to Medina and he has straight come to the mosque, there must have been some dust or dirt on his dress, some dust on his hair. No. His clothes were absolutely white, his hair was absolutely black. La yura alayhi safar. No effects of any journeying were on him visible. Wala yarifuhu minna ahad. And at the same time, none of us could recognize him, who he is. How could Umar say, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, that none of us could recognize him? He must have seen the sign of wonder on the faces of all. If there was anybody in that congregation who recognized him, he would have come forward and greet him. None stood up to greet him. Nobody knew him. So this is a very strange phenomenon that happened. Hatta jalasa ila Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Now this person, proceeded further and further and further, making his way among the people who were sitting around over there. And he reached directly, he sat before Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And how much near to him? Just read the words. Hatta jalasa ila Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam fasnada rukbatayhi ila rukbatayhi. He joined his knees with the knees of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So close to him. All things, they feel surprised. What he is doing? Who is he? How courageous he is. How daring he is. He has gone so close to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. وَوَضَعَ كَفَّيْهِ عَلَى فَخِذَيْهِ. And he put his hands, the palms of his hands, on the thighs of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Literally this can mean he put his hands on his own thighs, because this pronoun which is here, literally, according to the basic rules of grammar, it can point to both. He put his hands on his own thighs, or he put his hands on the thighs of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But in other narration of this hadith, as I have told you, there are so many narrations, we find clearly defined that he put his own hands on the thighs of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now this is the background of this hadith and this incident which we have read today. Tomorrow, inshallah, we shall read the text of this hadith. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.